You are all set, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, James. Good evening, good afternoon, everybody. A little bit ahead of myself here at the Quality and Reynolds School Project Building Committee. Our regular meeting for Thursday, May 19th, 2022 is 5:16, I believe it is, to order. Jeff, could you do the roll call for us, please?
Yes, members are asked to signify their presence when their name is called. Councilor Camillo.
Here.
Councilor Rada.
Here.
Ms. Drazad.
Here.
Ms. Parati.
Here.
Ms. Dugan.
Here.
Mr. Wetzel.
Here.
Mr. Woods.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you, Jeff. Next item is public participation, but I see nobody.
None with us.
Correct. So we're going to move on. I'm going to actually skip down to the construction manager's update because Councilor Camillo needs to leave, I believe in 15-20 minutes. So I'm going to ask Brian Grant is actually sitting in for Tom tomorrow to go over the bid results and where we are because of that, which happened yesterday. I guess you all got it in the mail, email. The results were kind of where we thought they were going to be, and it's favorable, and we're back on track. And Brian, I think I'll just turn it over to you to give us a presentation so that we could take action on this to move it to the town council.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Steve, I'm going to try to share my screen here. All right.
There you go.
All right, you are all seeing the bid tab, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so yes, as Steve had said, rebid was yesterday. The good news is you had excellent coverage, still a lot of interest in this project. Just a kind of a 10,000 foot view. These are all your bid packages that were rebid, the base bid numbers. This was their apparent low. This column here just shows you the variance from the original low bid price. So all of the efforts on the project team side, as well as Mr. Woods, to try to really hone this in, sharpen the design, and get it to where we needed to be, paid off. Overall, we saved just over 2.2 million by rebidding. So we now have a path to the budget. There's a few alternates here that need to be discussed with the owner, Lou, and his team. We have a reconciliation meeting Monday just to go through that. But the good news is, like Steve had said, numbers are where they need to be. And we do have a path forward. So we're very pleased with that.
Any questions for Brian? If not, I think I'm going to go back up to either Eileen or Jim to kind of give us just an overview so you can see where we are budget wise. So you can see that we are actually under our project budget so that we can take this and move it to the council for their consideration to allow Newfield to enter into contracts with all of these contractors.
Yeah, Steve, that's correct. We haven't updated the budget at this time. However, based on the the bid results that we received, we are on track to be under budget. We'll update those numbers on Monday for the overall project budget. I do believe Eileen has two items that she needs to present to the building committee for approval. If we can move on those.
Well, let's stay with the budget for a minute. Let me then kind of fill in where we are right now. We're approximately $100,000 under the project budget with the rebids. So all of the value management and value engineering that we expected, we got. We also were able to get the construction contingency at 2.5% for the CM. and we have the owner's contingency back up to 3%. And again, it's going to seem like I'm trying to rush this, but we do have a timetable here because of the summer schedule that we're trying to meet. It's real important that we meet that so that we can get the progress that we need. So I guess the important news is that we have a path to get us to where we need to be. It's there. They just need another day or so to get it all onto paper so that it's firm, because it's still relatively fluid right now. It's changing, and it's not changing by a lot, but it's changing by a few $1,000s one way or the other as they buy out these contracts. And by Monday afternoon, they anticipate having the final contract price to us, and we'll have to call a special meeting for Monday to get that approved and get that off to the council. Any questions on where we are? Yes, Amy.
Thank you. I was just wondering, I know there was some concern or questions on the quality of materials, like the flooring, for example. Is there any consideration for putting in a better material, or kind of some of the value engineering that was done, looking at it again, making sure that we really need to take everything out?
Any good question, Amy. From what I understand, Lou and Maureen, Dr. Brummett, have been involved in all of these decisions, so none of them were made blindly. Lou Giacomowitz, as well as the superintendent of schools, has approved all of these. Brian, I believe you will agree with that.
Correct. Yep.
That they've been an integral part. Brian gave me a little bit of credit. I don't deserve any of the credit. It's the team that we have working for us. They're the ones that did all the work. I sat in on a few of the meetings. But Amy, do we have all of the flooring that we thought we would be able to get at a higher level? No. But again, Lou is more than comfortable with where we are right now. I hope that helps you.
Mhm. Yeah, I can,
Oh,
certainly
go ahead.
speak to some of those, elements. I know when I went through kind of the planning of like where we were going to make adjustments to the overall plan set, I reviewed it extensively with Jason Smith, and he was in complete agreement that the things that we gave on were things that if we need to restore them at some point down the road, it would be easy to do. We did not compromise at all on the student resources, the attributes needed in the classroom to provide exactly what the kids needed. So even though we had to have some of the nicer elements be trimmed out, we were able to, definitely, hold on to everything we needed to hold on to. Since it's a renovation, we didn't lose any square footage. We didn't have to make compromises of shrinking the building that was here because we already had our footprint of space. So, the choices were, very clear and easy to define for us.
Okay, Amy?
Yep, thank you.
Yep. Jeremy?
Okay, hey, everybody. I was out past couple of weeks and I was able to watch the videos, and I saw Chapman and Company kind of beat up on everyone last week. But I agree with them in that we have to keep our costs basic. And so I'd really love to know what's been reestablished as opposed to what was cut when we hit that roadblock last week. The flooring, of course, being one of them, to kind of reiterate what Amy said. And then the courtyard too, I think, was a big cut that we were looking at. So I don't know how that proceeded or where that moved in relation to the overall project. I'm glad that we're back at a higher contingency. I'm glad that we're back to a positive number on this project, and we're moving along, which is great. And the rebid seemed to really work out for us. Luckily, I think that's a stroke of luck on our part. But if you could kind of speak to, while I agree with Chapman and everybody else that we've got to save money and not do granite curbs, I also want to make sure that we're not coming back here and fixing things in 5 years, or 10 years after this investment. Thanks.
Okay, so Jeremy, I'll start with the courtyard because that's the easiest one. The courtyard, as it existed in the plans, is basically gone. So what happens now is there will be new walkways installed in there and grass for any of the disturbed areas. Well, basically it'll be the whole courtyard because there's some drainage work. That's it. So the courtyard that we saw, while it was beautiful, I knew it was going to be a stretch to begin with, and it stayed because excuse me 1 minute. We had thought that our budget would allow it, but it didn't. The other thing I talked to is the windows. We had all operable windows. We now decreased that to 2 per classroom and 1 in any of the other smaller rooms. Steel panels, I believe, that are on the building just went to a different manufacturer. And instead of being a corrugated panel, they're a smooth panel. Am I correct, Brian? That the roofing went from a special, yes.
No, I was going to say KBA may want to jump into. Right now, we're going back and forth between the corrugated and the smooth, but the basis of design manufacturer of the panel changed.
Yeah, and that's thank you, Brian. That's probably a good segue into Jennifer. Do you want to chime in here? You can, obviously, you know this building inside and out. Yeah, it's Jennifer here. I just want to see if Jennifer's.
She is. They're working on the audio right now.
There you go.
Oh,
Sorry.
I'm sorry, I missed a
Mike was-
critical part here. So when it comes to the metal panels that you were talking about, is that what you're looking for comment on?
Well, just in general, the question was from Jeremy as to, what was cut out.
Okay,
What did we have to reduce?
right. I know you spoke to the courtyard. It's,
Mhm.
basically going back to what it is now, for the most part. But there are numerous other items. We spoke about windows last time, that there are going to be less operable windows than originally was bid. But each classroom will have operable windows. That was a change that was made. The metal panel was on my mind. Somebody mentioned that we are looking at recommending, because there would be a cost savings, to go to all smooth metal panels for the exterior facade. Instead of there's a bit of a premium to use a ribbed metal panel. We recommend that because if there is any cost savings, we think that would be advantageous for you to realize that cost savings. And there's no issue with performance. In fact, the smooth performs even a bit better when it comes to energy.
Can I just ask a question about that, though? If we're
Sure.
talking about the metal smooth versus a corrugated metal, what happens in terms of weather and denting that metal in appearance?
They're both warranted for the same as far as finishes go. Both the smooth and the corrugated have the same finish warranty. I'm not sure if it's 10 years for the 2-coat like Kynar finish on it. We went with a good gauge for the metal panel, and the smooth is a 2 feet wide panel, instead of something that, like, you could go up to 36 inches, in some cases 42 inches, but we tried to keep the panel size down as well. So that helps, and the gauge of metal panel is a good thing too. We did not bring metal panel down to grade. It's all above about 3'4" is our precast nice durable sill, and we didn't lose any of that, through our value management exercises. So, metal panel is done quite often at a lot of schools these days. It is one of the primary facade materials used these days. So I don't really feel that's a downgrade. We did keep the same, from schematic design up until now, the same metal panel durability, the performance of it, I guess you could say, the durability, the gauge of it, The finish, we haven't changed that through the value management exercises. It's still, stayed with the core gauge and performance. There are some other things. There were some aesthetic things throughout the building that we eliminated. There were some benches in the lobby, some nice features with built-in millwork in the lobby area that we thought could always be done in the future, perhaps, but they were costly. So those were eliminated in this value management exercise. The flooring, which was spoken about earlier in the classrooms, went to vinyl composition tile, VCT, instead of a luxury vinyl tile. There are some changes made with some cost savings in the mechanical and plumbing systems too, that we felt still everything would meet code and perform fine. So we were able to make those changes. I think those were recommendations that came out of scope reviews that the contractors said, here's some ideas for you to consider. And those were considered and discussed with the district, with the engineers, and thought that those would be okay. We went through, honestly, just over 100 value management ideas. So I'm trying to list some off the top of my head, but there were quite a number that as a design team and with Newfield, of course, with CSG and with the district, we reviewed about 100 to see which ones really were viable ideas and wouldn't compromise things too much. In the end, I'm wondering how many we ended up with. I didn't send you that number, did I, Paul? I don't think so, but there are still, quite a few that made it, but we started with just over 100 that we analyzed.
Thank you.
Sure.
Kim, you have your hand up?
Yeah, a couple of questions, and I'm going to play devil's advocate for a moment. And my question is, and I'm sure that this has already been considered, but could there be questions related to safety issues regarding some of these changes that are being made? Number one. Number two, is it possible for us to be able to view and compare the difference between the corrugated or the ribbed and the flat metal panels? And also, and Jennifer, I think you may have raised this. As we're moving along with the project and we continue to look at the budget, might we think about some of these changes or deletions that could be added on, not after the final project has been completed, because, and I know that there are probably people in town who are going to be concerned about this. And I know that I remember us having a conversation that the courtyard probably, the way it was envisioned originally, would certainly probably not be a go. But I'm just trying to think of not only questions that I have, but questions that may come up as we present any kind of changes or any revisions.
Sure. As far as your first comment was about safety, and I wish I were I was just going to bring it up to look at the long list of items that we considered. I feel pretty confident saying that they weren't any changes that would affect safety. That's something that we don't ever really want to save. Castle Blues is big on, we don't want to save the owner money and in a way that's going to affect life safety, any kind of risk that you might have with your occupants or whatever, we don't want to go there. We don't want to make recommendations that perhaps compromise safety. So things that we looked at, another one I didn't mention, for instance, changing roofing material. Okay, so there's a lot of things like that, changing the material, the floor. VCT is used a lot in classrooms and schools and corridors. So the material changes that we proposed, dropping tile a little lower on the bathroom walls than higher. All those big and little things, I don't think had an impact to safety at all, but they certainly added up to saving quite a bit of money when they were all added together. We still do have operable windows, even though that was cut back on. Every room has operable windows. Not necessarily a safety thing, but certainly comfort and convenience for occupants. We've been able to keep that. So I don't think there's any safety issues at all. When we're looking at the metal panel again, you brought that up as I think a second point. We can share with you a rendering of what it would look like to have all of the smooth metal panel at the next meeting, if you'd like, instead of what we showed previously was obviously the smooth and ribbed together in the elevation. So we could show you a rendering of what that would look like. That obviously doesn't compromise safety at all. There are things that could be done later. And some specifically, we spoke with the district about where there was above the sinks, each classroom has a sink, and above the sinks, we had a protective wall covering, an FRP panel. It's really not a luxury item, but it was something to just add some added protection behind the sinks. We never used to do that, but we've been doing that more and more. And there's a cost savings to get rid of that protective panel and just have the wall there with some good paint. And we said, okay, let's take that panel away, not affecting safety. The district may choose to put something, they may choose to tile the wall later or put something on that wall later. Again, with the courtyard, we got rid of some of those outdoor features, a lot of outdoor features in the courtyard, such as the patios and the outdoor classroom possibilities out there. There were some doors that led out to classrooms, which were not used for exiting. They were just used for access. And there are other doors that we kept for exiting. But there are some doors that were just used for access that we got rid of. Does not affect safety. They were not used for exiting. They're not required for exiting. But we did talk to the district about how could we make the change. It gets pretty detailed, but how could we make the change so that the district later on, should they choose to develop the courtyard further, how could we do it so that they could easier put a door into that particular elevation, not having to rip more out than necessary, where they could just install a door in the framing. So we tried to make it easier to do things in the future if need be. I mentioned the items in the lobby, some of the, cosmetic, aesthetic, pretty stuff that we would have liked to do in the lobby that really doesn't affect safety, security, anything like that. That could be done later. It's kind of an add when that space is complete, or if at some point during the design, during the process of construction, you find that you do have money there. It is something that could be done later. Even after the project's completed, that could be brought back. Not everything can be brought back, but there are some things that you could upgrade, later and improve. And we tried to consider that as well when we, recommended changes and when we had all these discussions.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Don't see anybody's hand up. So Jeff, if we want to move this forward to the council now, what will we need in the way of a motion?
I would think you would want to move to accept the project budget as presented by the construction manager.
All right, so that's gonna be a problem because we don't have it. So we're gonna have to hold this off until Monday. We do not have it completed, correct? Jim and Brian, that won't happen until Monday?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So then maybe the more important question is, can everybody make a Monday afternoon meeting? I know, Jeff, you can't.
Right.
So we will make sure that somebody takes minutes. And James, can you get us a Zoom link for
Of
Monday?
course I can. What time you want to do it at?
Same, well, is everybody good with the same time at 5:15?
That'd be best.
I
Could be.
won't be available.
Okay. So Kim can't make it.
Monday is really tough for me. Unfortunately, this Monday.
Amy? Would you
I
be
can
able to
make
make?
it.
You can
Yeah.
make it? Carol?
Yes, I can make it.
Jeremy?
I can be there.
Okay. Danielle is not on the call, correct?
I'm here.
Please,
Oh,
yeah.
you are?
Yep.
I'm sorry.
I just don't have I need my grays done, so I don't have my camera on. But yes,
Oh.
I'm here. I can make it.
Okay. All right, great. I believe Mike can make it. He's been texting me that I believe he should be available too. Jeremy?
He was good.
Yeah, I can make it.
Did I leave anybody out? I think that's everybody, right? Yeah, okay. So let's, James, 5:15 for Monday,
You got it.
okay? Okay. And again,
Steve, one quick question. How long do you think the meeting will be on Monday?
I don't think the meeting should take very long unless you have questions on the actual dollar figures that are presented to you. We should have pretty solid numbers. At that point, well, I'm sure they're still fluid and will be fluid for a while, but then they change minimally. So we're going to have basically a budget that we're going to be able to adopt and move on to the council, because the council will get it then Tuesday.
Okay, I'm going to try to move something around. I'm going to try to be there.
Okay, yeah, if you could be here, that would be great. And again, we should, I'm hoping 30 minutes, Kim.
Okay.
You know, again, depending on questions. All right, so let's go back. I skipped public participation because there wasn't anybody there, but I do see we have somebody from the public now, so I'm going to go back to it. Chris, I know you're in. Would you like to speak? If you do, just unmute yourself.
Thank you, Steve.
Yep.
Chris, 119 Revere Drive. I'm happy to see that you were able to make adjustments to continue to move this forward, and look forward to seeing it at the council table. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. So now we have review and take action on prior meeting minutes, which I believe we have one.
These are the minutes of May 5th.
Yes, the meeting from May 5th. Someone like to make a motion that we approve those as written?
I'll make it.
Thank you, Jeremy. And a second from someone?
Second.
Second.
Second from, was that Amy? Was that you first? I think so.
Yeah.
Second from Amy. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Steve, I'm going to abstain because I was not at the meeting.
Oh, okay. All right. So it still passes unanimously with one abstention.
Yeah, and you can abstain if you wish, but really, you don't have to be present. All you're voting on is whether or not there's anything objectionable in the minutes.
Okay, fine. Then I will vote to approve.
I
I was assuming that because I wasn't there, I wouldn't be able to vote.
I can't figure out how to raise my hand, and I don't know if it matters. My last name isn't spelled right, which could be why no one can say it when they do roll call. I don't know if that matters to anyone, if that matters in the minutes, but just letting you know.
Okay. What is the correct spelling of your last name, Danielle?
It's Drozd, not Z-O.
Oh,
But I
D-O-L.
would love to know how someone would say that last name that's written that way.
But it's
Okay,
DROCD.
It's D-R-O-Z as in zebra, D as in David. So the Z and the O are transposed.
And look at that, it's all fixed. Thank you, James.
Oh, no, I have her name right on the screen. That's always been that way. It's just the minutes. that
Here's
are
the
left
minutes.
up.
No.
Yeah, just
Okay.
attendance.
Okay, so now we're going to go back to take action on invoices. Eileen?
Okay, actually, one of the invoices in front of me, I know. We have,
Just let me know which ones you'd like to start with. I have them on the screen available.
apologize for that. I have the proposals in front of me. I know we have an invoice from KBA, Newfield.
Yeah, there are 5 invoices. You've got one from Newfield Construction for $5,000. You've got 3 from Castle Booze totaling $11,831.13. And you've got one from Construction Solutions Group for $15,230. The 5 invoices total $32,061.13.
Okay, and
We recommend these for payment.
okay, thank you. That's what I needed to hear. So I would entertain a motion that we approve the invoices as presented.
Motion to approve invoice as presented.
Thank you. And that was Danielle, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
It's hard to see without the lips moving. And a second by someone. Who's going to
Kim.
second that? Who?
Kim.
Kim. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Yep. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Now, we have one more, right? The Myers or Meyer?
Oh, you've
Well, I
got
have
you have
two
two
proposals.
proposals.
Oh, okay.
And
All right,
they're
so-
going to be presented, I think, during the owner's project manager's update.
Oh, all right. Okay. So then we're going to skip down to architect's update. Jennifer, is there anything else you want to add?
The only
Yeah.
thing I want to say is that we did complete, obviously, all the addendum items for these rebids. So that was, significant work to finalize those rebid packages. And we're doing the work for all the other value management items for packages that weren't rebid. So we're getting all that documentation to Newfield so that they can have all the pricing ironed out for their GMP. And that's it, I think.
Yeah, I want to thank you and your whole team at Castle Booze. You did an excellent job. It's a very short turnaround time. You realized, how tight our time frame is to get this moving so we don't lose this summer. And I do appreciate the effort by everybody. I know there was a lot I saw the emails at one point. I think I got 15 or 20 emails in one day. So a lot of work happened in a very short period of time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to owner's project manager's update. Eileen.
All right. So a little history on this proposal for Connecticut DEEP. The National Diversity Database found records of the eastern box turtle in the proposed project area, and it's a state listed species. So we have a proposal from KBA to have their consultant BSC group come out and do an initial sweep prior to the disturbance of the area and train the site contractor how to handle and place the turtles back in their habitat. So there needs to be a sweep for this and then placing the turtles back. The dollar amount as shown here, the fee, $852. That's $775 plus the 10% markup from KBA.
Okay, so in case you don't know how this works, is actually Newfield's, their project manager or site superintendent will be the one that's more than likely being trained. And as they bring the contractors on board, there's an initial meeting, a safety review that happens when they bring on each and every contractor, each and every employee that works on the job. They have to sit through what's called an orientation. And at that time, this will get explained to them. It really only pertains mostly to obviously the people working outside, the site contractor, maybe electrical contractor, and maybe a few of the others during their mating season when the turtles actually venture quite a ways away to lay their eggs. But it's just something that has to be done. So you were looking for a motion for us to approve this, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, let's do them both. You have another one, so let's do them both together.
All right. Since we have moves coming up and scheduled for the summer, we had Meyer come and do a walkthrough. This proposal is based on state of Connecticut contract pricing. It's based on their material rates, drivers, et cetera, movers. It'll all be tracked on time and material, and I'll be approving all invoices. But the estimated cost to complete the project with the 5 phases is $146,512.40. And we recommend that the attached will be approved so we can move forward getting supplies and begin the moves June 8th.
Yeah, so we have this covered in our soft cost budget. We have $150,000 that we've been carrying for quite some time now for move services. Eileen took the next step and brought the mover out there. As Eileen stated, there's about 5 separate moves. We will be monitoring the people on site, the materials delivered. So that way we can verify the cost and the labor that was required for each move. So this is not going to go unchecked. It's not a hard lump sum cost. This could go down, hopefully. So we do recommend moving forward with this because we do need supplies very soon to be able to get the teachers to start packing the boxes so we can have the move scheduled for the start of construction for this summer.
Thanks, Jim. Any questions on either of these 2 invoices? If not, then I would entertain a motion that we approve.
Steve, if I could.
Yep. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Yeah, just a quick question. With the stuff that we buy here, like these totes and all that, does the school get to keep any of these materials, or would we want to? Just to get
Sorry, Jeremy. Anything is, the totes are all returnable, refundable.
Okay. All right.
Any that aren't used, that is.
Just thinking maybe if we, if the school system needed them or they needed materials or something, I mean, I don't know. Can we move this cost into a, something that's advantageous to the school system? Thank you.
You mean like boxes or, I don't even know what a tote is, I'll be honest.
Totes, yeah, plastic totes. I'm not sure what the white, I don't know what a white pop-up would be or what they look like, but.
I'm trying to move in. It's about yay big.
It's a box.
It's a box.
It's a larger pop-up box. They come flat.
Okay, so it's not a plastic tote or anything like that we could.
No, it's not. No,
okay, all right, yeah.
Cardboard, and they're usually good for about 4 to 5 moves.
Okay.
I mean, some go faster, but you can reuse. They are reusable.
I was just thinking more in terms of maybe those plastic ones that are.
No, there's a rental fee.
Those are rented.
I got you. Okay. All right.
That's good if you're turning them over right away, but not storing long-term over the summer.
All right. Thank you.
Can you scroll, James, either up or down to what the total is for this one? 146.
I think it's on the front.
Yeah, 146,512.
And the budget again was 150.
Yeah. And that the first invoice was,
No invoices. Oh,
I'm sorry, the first quote was
$852.
852.
okay. So again, I entertain a motion for Castle Boo's quote of $852 for the box turtle, Eastern box turtle. I'll make sure I get that right for little box turtles, Eastern box turtle training. And a quote for $146,512.40 for Meyer Company, which is responsible for the moves, or the several moves throughout the project during this construction phase. So if somebody could move that, and then we get a second.
I'll move that.
Okay, thank you, Amy. And a
I'll do the
second.
second. I'll do the second.
Okay. Any further discussion? No hands. We'll see everybody, but all right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I,
Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Eileen. Any other business pertinent to the committee? I just have the one item, which again, we talked about earlier. We will have a special meeting Monday at 5:15. An email will go out to you and Jim will provide you with a Zoom link. James, sorry. I always want to call him Jim.
That's okay. I answer to anything.
You may have an issue with Zoom on June 2nd, which is your next regular meeting. So I don't know if you want to consider going until the 19th, if you're going to have a special meeting next week or not.
You know, let's see what happens next Monday, and then if we think we don't need it, we'll cancel it. But right now, I
Okay.
want to leave it on. Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Public participation. You're still with us, I think, Chris. You hanging in there? Yeah. You got anything else to say? I'm seeing not. So actually, before I go to comments by members, I just want to say, again, it's critical that we continue to move this forward to make sure we can capture the summer construction project. So with that, we will need to make sure we get it off to the council Monday with our budget being approved to them for their consideration. Even at that, I believe the mayor will not suspend the rules to pass it in one night, but she has led me to believe that the council would be open to having another meeting, possibly Wednesday or Thursday night, so they meet their criteria of the 2-meeting rule. If that works for them, it definitely works for us. But again, it's real important that we don't lose, because I think, unfortunately, this is one of those months where they meet on the 24th, but then they don't meet for almost 3 weeks. It's the way the calendar falls, because it's the 2nd.
Correct. Not until the 14th.
Yeah, so it's a long stretch. That would mean contracts wouldn't go out until July 1st. We would lose the better part of the summer construction season, which would not be good. So with that, I'll open up the comments by any other members. And I don't have everybody's faces on my, or
Amy
names on the screen, but I see. Go ahead, Amy.
Thanks. So if the council approves, if they have a special meeting next week to approve it, when approximately would construction start? Is it going to be delayed any, or is it still going to be able to start right when school gets out?
Brian, do you have a date that you would actually be on site and start with a?
Yes, yeah, we plan to mobilize the week of the 6th. We understand school doesn't get out probably till the 14th or 15th after talking to the principal. However, the site contractors can start up in the far corner, getting the laydown areas ready. And then we, the constraint is as CSG had said, we have to get some of the rooms cleaned out to even start with the abatement and the demolition that summer. So we're going to hit the ground running, but to answer the initial question, the week of the 6th, we plan on mobilizing outside and getting set up. It will not affect any traffic flow, safety issues, nothing. We'll be working up in the corner to get the areas ready for the contractors to load materials and put trailers and set up a home base for the next 2 years.
Awesome.
And just another follow-up comment to Brian. The last day of school is the June 13th, so we need to move out of the rooms the 14th and 15th, final moves.
Okay. Anyone else? And, I gave kudos to Castle Booze. I also have to thank Newfield as well as Construction Service Group. They all really did. They did a lot of work to make sure that we don't lose this season and also get us back on budget. And I really appreciate that. So many thanks from all of us. I do appreciate it. Anyone else?
Thank you.
I don't see any hands up. A motion to adjourn? Someone? We don't need a second. We just need one. Thank you.
That was Danielle.
Yeah, motion is made from
You can have it, Danielle.
to adjourn by Danielle. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we stand adjourned. We'll see you all Monday. Jeff, have a good, wherever
Thank
you
you.
are. Have a good time.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.